Good evening, good night, almost good morning. Nearly ready for Oasis tickets in the morning, folks. Get your laptops. Keep your laptops on after this podcast. Don't rehash. Don't refresh. Another night we're coming out of Oriel Park tonight. We're going to be joined by Chris shortly in a couple of seconds. Another night that we've come to a podcast where we are rock bottom of the league still, and it doesn't look like things are going to get any better over the next couple of weeks. Chris, you're obviously at the game. You're watching. You're listening. You're hearing the crowd. You're excited. I mean, like, although we chastise and kind of hammer Shelbourne some weeks for the way they play, they're still top of the league. They're expectant league champions at this stage. They've come to Oriel Park on a Friday night. We've had 2 weeks off, albeit we didn't want it, but we had it. Daly's had a couple of, we mentioned the week off. It's extra training, it's no game, but I mean, it's time to refocus. You get an extra bit of time. But it is that result again where it's a 1-0 drab kind of Shelbourne game, and are we showing enough that we can get out of the hole that we're in?
Oh.
that is
the question. Yeah, that's the question. I think,
especially when you consider what Drogheda had done to an offbeat Sligo Rovers a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's typical Dundalk. You sit for 3 weeks waiting for a game to come along, and tonight gets served up to us. It's disappointing, like you say. The fact that we didn't get to play the previous week, because Stephen Kenny got his way, I suppose. And it's disappointing because you wouldn't have a better opportunity to play them.
Yeah,
and in particular, we'll see what they look like now post-European football when they play Drogheda on Sunday. So, like, if they're a bit lackluster in that'll really annoy us all. That we definitely could have got something from them. Yeah, look, can we get out of this? There was a bit of fight there in that second half, without a doubt. But I'm sure we'll get into it, but just the way we started tonight will disappoint everybody.
I was just going to say, like, if you're looking at that lineup tonight, and we spoke about this show before, and we said we're lacking a bit up top. We can't seem to get a striker. We're not looking for a 30 goal plus striker. We're looking for someone who can get into double figures over the course of the season, or get us out of a hole that we're in at the minute. And then you see the lineup, and you've got Owen Kenny and Gullen on from the start up top at Oriel Park Friday night. We've had a couple of weeks off with the league leaders coming to town. We literally couldn't be polar opposites, and then it just doesn't get going. I mean, look, we conceded early, but even just from the way the two lads were set up, and it was hard to figure out what they wanted to do. It's a really strange one. It's something we've been looking for, but it just hasn't. Going off tonight, it just hasn't panned out again.
Yeah, like, I think when the team sheet was announced and Robbie Benson was dropped and in came Owen Kenny, and you knew that only meant one thing, that we were going to up front, that we've always said to get the best out of Gullen is when we had Cammy Elliott up beside him, and kind of battling and scrapping away for whatever, getting the flick-ons that Gullen wins. But I'm not too sure that partnership really kicked in tonight, which is a bit disappointing. Frank said it all comes down to the keeper. I think in the first or second minute, they have a chance. Keeper comes out, looks kind of a bit unsure of himself. They poke the ball past him, and it's cleared off the line. And realistically, I think at that stage that should have been the wake-up call to, we are vulnerable to a long ball over the top here, and we didn't heed our lesson on that. And 2 minutes later, we are 1-0 down, and it's nearly a carbon copy again. We were talking off air.
We never learn, do we? That is something that we were talking off air. Yeah, go on, Chris. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say we were talking off air of how much praise we've give Sean Keogh over the past few weeks, and how he's the most natural left back we have. He's definitely caught cold on the goal. I was talking to Flano even at half time, and I think he probably said it on the comms as well. He got caught a bit square when the ball come over. He's ball watching, not watching the player coming in behind him, and as soon as he realised that ball has been angled across, he's, you know, sitting with the hand up, hoping and praying
Yeah.
that the linesman gives him something at that stage. But you know, you've got to be more switched on. You've got to open up your body and be aware of the attacker coming in over your shoulder and be able to attack the ball as it's coming in. Instead, he's the wrong side of it, so the ball's coming past him, and then he's noticing the player right over behind him. You'll let him away with it because of his age and his lack of experience, I suppose. But like you just said there, Gally, it's we didn't hit our lesson in the second half, in the second minute. By the fourth minute, then we're 1-0 down, and it's a good save initially by the keeper, by Goddard, and you're thinking, okay, have we got away with this? But then the ball, you know, I think it was Ali Coote got in initially, but then the ball falls right back to Ian O'Brien, and it's put in the net, and you're just thinking, you can't give somebody of him, you know, an easy opportunity like that, and we can't give someone of Ali Coote an opportunity to run in behind us and that, because when he's a full speed, he's a pacey player, and that's not what we wanted to definitely not the way you'd want to start a game. And that's really disappointing thing, is because the team started so flat.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm surprised I didn't get a message from you, lad, saying, Chris, are the mics on LOI TV tonight, because the crowd were so quiet, in particular in that first half. I think that slow start really kind of put the crowd on the back foot, and it went very, very quiet. And funny, I was talking at halftime when I was talking to Flano, and I said, do you know when we went on that, was it 8-game unbeaten run earlier this season? From the get-go, the crowd were at it, and it made the whole of Oriel Park a very intimidating venue to come to. It was like tonight was, there you go, please play in front of us if you wish. You know, the team was allowing chances, and the crowd was allowing the opposition to come in. By the end of the match, in particular, say the last 10, 15 minutes of the match, I think the crowd definitely got energized, and suddenly the team got energized with that as well. You know, a couple of good substitutions, you would have said, by John Daly, to try to get us back into the match. But it was, you know, you can't give a team, you could nearly say we probably gave Shells the first 45 minutes to try to win that match, and that's what they did. They got that 1-0 lead, and that really done them. And
like, if we're talking about the Shelbourne team, and we said at the start of the show, the top of the show, that it's not that the league's been fantastic. And look, somebody has to be up there, and they've done really well. But when you've got 2 weeks off the prime, and you've got probably, what have you got, 8 days notice of, you know, that you're going to be off. You know, you don't get 8 days notice of being off. Sorry, you have 8 days notice to get your next game would be Shelbourne. You'd expect to kind of say at Oriel Park, like, we know the way Shelbourne play. It's not that it's not negative. It's just the way it's them set up, and it's doing wonders for them. It's doing what it's doing. But again, like you said, we started flat, but we should have known what to expect. You know, you give Shelbourne, with the luck that we've had this season, that fumble in the box for the goal that's with Ali Coote that's dropped into O'Brien. Like, if that's the other way around, that fumbles to us and we glaze over the bar or can defend it. That's just the luck. And when you make your own bad luck, that's why we're in. Now, look, there's some poor performance, but when you're 4 minutes into a game and that happens, and we're on with the goalkeeper again, sometimes some teams react to an early goal if you concede it. Some teams can get, you know, almost play better the fact that they've conceded an early goal, because they've, right, now lads, now we know what we're dealing with, now we've got to chase straight away. But this Dundalk team aren't doing that. And that's a real worry. And look, I think there's only going to be so long. We're going to come to a couple of podcasts now in a couple of weeks' time, and we're going to run out of games. There's going to be no games left. Like, we haven't said the R word yet. We haven't kind of said this is it, but we could be sitting here now in 4 or 5 games' time, and if Drogheda to get a bit of a run, because we don't look like we're going to have one, you know, but you can't start games like that. If you're going to try and stay in a Premier Division league, you cannot start a game that flat, allow that pressure on you twice. Like you said, before, they could have scored before the goal. They had a similar chance just before.
Yeah.
But especially when you're lacking then a bit of intensity to go forward. An early goal suits some teams, really. You know, over the years, you've seen, if Stephen Kennedy the odd time had conceded an early goal, there was no panic. Stephen O'Donnell, even when we were on it, you know, there was no panic. But we don't, like, you're talking 86 minutes of football now, if you don't include the injury time, of time where, right, it's nothing. Let's get your head in the game. Let's get back into it. and it just never. Again, we're just sitting talking about, and I know lads are talking about goalkeepers, but it's overall in general, it just seems to be we're just running out of. I don't know, running out of time, but
we're going to run out of time because now there's only 8 games
that
left.
Team, it is running on. It looks like it's running on empty now. It really is, and it's we've eight games to go. If I'm right, is that 8? Is it
8 left now?
And I don't know. I looked at the fixtures there. I don't know where we pick up anything. I don't know where we pick up any points. And even if I keep going on with the early goal, but you've 86 minutes. You've the second half as well. I mean, you're still only 1-0 down to the league leaders. Let's get at them, and it's just never. And look, Shelbourne have played the way they played. I won't say they've stopped you playing because I don't think we got at them enough. But it's a sad thing to watch. It's very
isn't
hard
it funny?
to
But if you look at the comments coming in tonight there, Jason saying, a lackluster performance, lack of fighting spirit. John Flanagan earlier on, the intensity wasn't there in the first half. These are all attributes that you'd like to think that we can, that we should be able to equal, even if you haven't got the quality on the pitch. You're still looking for, the right attitude. I think Ed Irvin probably had a bit of that tonight, but it was alone in that. In particular, you're looking at the Shells, middle of the park. You had Lunny and Coyle. Every time the ball just stuck to the boys, they were first time passing. It was direct passing. It was going exactly to where they wanted it. They're clearly well drilled on it. When we got the ball, it seemed to be like a yard either in front, behind. Passes were going astray. It wasn't as slick. The ball wasn't sticking as often as we want, and then we're fighting back. I think we said that probably the last game even that we had, or actually it was the game before. It was the Waterford match, and before the Derry match, and we were just saying it's like our first touch leads us into trouble, and then our next touch after that is we're fighting to maintain the ball towards 1-2 passes in the middle, and Shells are moving up and they're maintaining possession a lot easier than us. They're not having to work as hard just to retain the ball that we have to do, and I think that's very, very evident on it. And I think you had the own Kenny chance in the first half where he tries to chip the keeper, and you had
probably our best chance of
free kick. Probably best chance of the first half without a doubt. But after that was really it. And you're thinking, you haven't played in 3 weeks. You got to have to put on a performance here to bring the crowd with you to get them moving. And I don't think the team created enough. He tried to swap over Robbie Mann and Daryl Horgan a lot, in particular in the first half. It just didn't work. Sean Gannon seemed to have the measure of Robbie Mann tonight. And he ended up coming off in the second half. But you just think that I think we kept, bar the goal that they did get, and obviously their big chance that they had just before that. Whether Shells knew they had enough in the tank just to see it out, but they didn't create a whole lot more. And I'm sure we'll get on to it later. And you look at the big chance, I suppose, that falls to O'Kane, was the one to get us something out of this match. And maybe that's it.
And that was
we had one chance and took it.
Yeah, and
that's the big difference.
Like how many times we sat here and said, you can have all the ball you want, you can have all, the talent you want to play, but like at the end, it's goals that count, and you got to take your chances. And look, and on O'Kane's chance later in the game, I mean, you probably couldn't ask for the fall to a better fella at Oriel Park when you're chasing where we are. But then it's just like you said just before we come on. It's a Ryan O'Kane chance. It's made for Ryan O'Kane, and it just like an inch the other way, and it's in. It just bounces off the inside, and like 9 times out of 10, it bounces. There's enough of a spin on it or enough of a direction on it that it goes into the net, and it just bounces right back out. And that's when you're down there. We've said it so many times. When you're down there, as low as we are in that league, these are chances that go begging. You don't get them, and that's what teams you probably feel harshly done by. But at the end of the day, look, you got to make your own luck. And Shelbourne are taking their chance. Like you say, they got that half spell from the goalkeeper. It's a bit of pressure from Ali. It falls to Aidan O'Brien. Aidan O'Brien must be 65. Couldn't believe the sign him. But like, you know, I didn't know.
I think he's only 29. Like, it's ridiculous.
He is. Of course he is. He's a beast. But you know, that's what it is. That's your luck. And we sat here too many times on this show saying the same thing over. Yeah. And unfortunately, it was you know, when the new players come in, John Daly had signed, we had this kind of cycle from O'Donnell as well, where there was no chances, lacklustre games. And of all the signings we've brought in, yes, there's a couple of people there that we think, you mentioned just before mentioned that Robbie Mahon there, we thought we might get a bit of resurgence with Robbie because, you know, there's a player there. But again, like you say, swapping over and back with Darrell Hogan there, and Darrell, in fairness, Darrell's had some decent half chances, probably 2 or 3 half chances that an informed Dundalk squad with Darrell Hogan getting them chances, he probably puts them top corner every time. But that's just the way we are at the minute. And you're kind of resorted to those chances. And that's really what's frustrating thing is that we can't seem to break down defence and get a ball in. And look, and it's magnified because where we are. And it's just, look, normal teams, you bet one of the big league leaders, right? Okay. So what about it?
Yeah.
When these are the league leaders and you're not even like, I seen one tweet earlier on, like it's literally, it's black and white. Shelbourne are poor and we're worse. Like that's bad. Like that's what we are at the minute. And it's just so hard to kind of convey how annoying and frustrating it is when you've got talent we got talent on the pitch, just don't seem to be able to, like you say, don't even play the ball, don't get the ball in behind. Like John Flanagan said, 2 players up top, free headers all the time, just didn't understand it. Clearance, it just doesn't make any sense sometimes, and it's just where we are, and it's like those half chances. Owen Kenny, the chip over the ball, like you're probably expecting to finish it any other day of the week, and it's just.
Do you know? But if he's probably scored 1 or 2 Gally already this year, he probably does score that. But in the back of his mind, I'm sure he's just like, I just want to score the first goal in the league. No, he got that goal in the preseason friendly. He's looking for his first professional senior goal, in a match, and it's probably playing on his mind every time he gets the ball. Because there's 1 or 2 chances tonight, and you know the ball's kind of bouncing around. He had a 1-2 with Darrell Horgan. Darrell Horgan kind of pulls away. It was in the second half. Darrell pulls to one side, and then he stops his run. So the defenders stop the run to create the space for Owen, and Owen lay to him, thinking he had run on. But I think Darrell's whole idea was, you now have space, turn yourself and get your shot off.
Yeah.
You know, so just that understanding's not there for Owen sometimes. With the players he's with, you gotta look. It must be 50 million things running through your mind sometimes as well. Do I turn? Do I shoot? Do I pass? You know, you got to pick one of those options, and sometimes it's not the right option. But it was one of them. You know, Darrell clearly checked his run to pull the defenders to create space for Owen, and I think if he had dropped his shoulder, he was getting a shot off, no problem. So it's unlucky. The other thing that made me laugh tonight, I suppose, was, you know, we talked that Owen came in for Robbie Benson tonight, but as soon as Robbie Benson came on tonight, I think he was only on the pitch maybe 2 minutes, yellow card. Clearly, Robbie wasn't happy sitting on the bench, looking at that display, much like most of us watching on tonight, straight in. On a yellow card, and
at least you know there was one.
Yeah, true. There was one break in the second half with him and Darrell. I think we were defending a corner, ball broke. It's a 1-2 from the 2 boys all up, and just Darrell's last ball to Robbie is slightly behind him, and he has to dig it out with his back foot, and he pushes the ball just too far ahead of him, and it allows the defender to come in. But you look like it was one of those things where they were just going to tap the ball 1-2s the whole way down the pitch, and one of them just finish it. But look, isn't that the story of our season? We just get to the final ball, and that's wrong. You know, you get that big.
Like you had mentioned, we're talking about the final ball. You had mentioned there, and something I think I can't remember the game. It could have been Derry. Like when you talk about chances created or possible chances, it's not like this team's being peppered. You know, we're not being peppered with goal. We're not like. You know, teams aren't playing that well. The league itself as a whole hasn't been fantastic. You look at Derry tonight as well. The league isn't fantastic. But it's just that season where we seem to be below par completely, that everything looks worse than that. I won't say it looks worse than we're bottom of the league, but the league itself isn't fantastic. So you would have expected us to kind of crack on a little bit. But when you take into the whole kind of setup, the players that we've signed, we've changed the manager. The keeper issue, unfortunately is still a thing. We kind of, I remember maybe 2 or 3 podcasts ago, we kind of said we really have to stop talking about the keeper if we can help it. But again, it's come up again, and it's I don't know whether that will change. It'll go back to who they have. Young Malloy there, you've Peter Cherry, and I don't see it changing now.
No.
But even if you take the keeper thing aside, teams are just seem to be being able to move down the field too easily against us. No matter who we have on, I don't know if it's the setup, if it's the mentality. We don't even play the counter-attack football. We don't even try and soak it up and then go, right, let's hit them on the break. We don't even do that. The last couple of minutes, the crowd get behind you, might get a bit of a run on there, but then 9 times out of 10 for this Dundalk in the season, it's too late. And
yeah,
I just think we're going to look back in this season with no kind of, we're not exactly a positive podcast on things, but there'll be no
it's hard to be at the moment.
Yeah, there's no if this game here and if we just done that, and there isn't any of that, because even though the scorelines we're not being battered, we're not in games, and that's the real crux of the whole thing. We're just never really in a game. It's probably the easiest way to say it. We just never seem to look like we might grab something. There's 1 or 2 games, but very few and far between.
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 things on that. I think teams come to play against us and they know, be patient with Dundalk, because we're going to give them opportunities. Yeah. So therefore, that teams come to us with a plan, and they never have to overthink or possibly even change that plan. Like Shell's probably came with a plan tonight, and he was like, early, put them under pressure, bang, we get a goal. Yeah. He probably went, well, that's that then. Let's just see this game out. Yeah. We'll get on to some decisions and some play acting by Shelbourne later on, but it just doesn't help. And then on the flip side of that, then, like you just mentioned, we're our own worst enemy as well.
Of course,
absolutely. I'm watching players jumping for headers, and we're missing first headers way too many times. Yeah. We're going up to compete, and we're completely underneath the ball, and we've missed the flight of the ball, and you're thinking you can't have that. And I think sometimes that then leads, maybe seeks in through the whole team, then, that other people think I've got to do a little bit more to try to lift this team and get us, and then we're overcomplicating everything. The situation with the keeper, it's probably you'll stick with it now to the end because I think when he kept Goddard in that time, and we there was question marks about him, it showed that Daly has faith in him, and he'll keep him there till the end. I think. I personally, I felt like the defense was more at fault for the goals than the keeper. Yeah. He saved the point blank shot from Coote before that. But the interesting thing for the rest of it, and it's probably something that the likes of Fano and that probably seen there tonight, there was a lack of confidence in the back line to the keeper. There was once or twice you're just expecting a flick header, roll it back to the keeper, but Andy Boy was trying to arch his header out away from goal each time instead of just laying it back. He's a lot slower to come off his line than say either the other 2 keepers that played before him are. And I think that's not helping the situation that, we've chopped and changed the keeper so many times that the defensive line. I think
a problem for John will be, John, like I know him, Mr. Daly. If you were to change the keeper now, that keeper then has to come in and say, right, well, if I split here at all, it's just it's one of those things. Better the devil, type of thing. You got to just stay and trust the fact that we'll get out of the rut that we're in. And ideally, you don't want any pressure on your goalkeeper. But I would say changing it. Although we debated this a couple of weeks ago, we could have changed it, but I don't really see it having any. I know the confidence. I get that. I know what Frank's saying, but I think the eyes of the league and the world, I suppose, of the Dundalk Football Club would be on the keeper then when he swaps out. And if he kicks a ball crooked, that doesn't give him any confidence either. So I don't really know. Look, I'm not a pro licensed coach. I'm not psychologist, but I don't really know what the benefit would be at putting a keeper out, because let's put it, he's under pressure. He's under too much pressure, like during the games. I know there's one or two mistakes, but there's times when we can't even. It looks like we haven't got two centre backs on the pitch because there's so many gaps. But I think it's just an all-round way that we're playing, and I think swapping the goalkeeper now, I think, just puts more pressure on the new goalkeeper coming in. So I don't really know whether that's.
No, and I think you're probably sitting now with the back four the back five, if you want to include the keeper that played tonight. You're probably trying to play Sean Keogh and Pike on the other side, and then like Khan looked extremely good in the Derry match, maybe a little shakier tonight, and then Boyle beside him. I think you're going with that. We got to get back to some sort of a settled team again, because just chopping and changing, like you just said, it's not gonna help the situation. I think you'd probably see more changes at the top end of the pitch if we had more options. Like, I think someone had put in there, like O'Connor's come in and we still haven't even seen him so far. Like, we need Gullen, after he hit the free kick in the first half, kind of seemed to be holding his lower back, and he got a fair few kicks and stuff tonight as well. Owen Kenny got a right few kicks tonight as well. Did get booked for simulation in the second half. I haven't seen that back. It'd be interesting to see it. How it looked initially. I thought it might have been a penalty, and Gullen got absolutely clattered in the first half. I think we had a free kick or a corner it was, and for some reason the ref said that was a free kick out, and they got away with that. But some of the refereeing tonight was it was so inconsistent. Like that exact same foul happened to a Shells player halfway through the second half, and he awarded a free in for it. And I was like, it's the exact same one that you told us wasn't a penalty earlier on. Yeah. Very infuriating. Like, every time we had a free kick, they had players over the ball every time, so we couldn't play a fast ball out. And he never, lifted. He never went in and gave one of them a yellow card. So guess what happens? Loads of other players just keep doing the same things over and over again. Then you've got to stamp that sort of thing out. Very, very.
And that's if you don't stamp it out early, you got to lay down a marker within reason. You don't need book at everybody for every foul, because that you've seen that happen again. But silly things like that have to be, because it's gamesmanship. It's crazy stuff.
Moving up the line with the throw-ins is really starting to do my head in as well. Like, especially when he tells them to move back to the original spot, and this is just eating up time. You're just like, would you come on? Yeah. And then they wait and they step back up to where he was originally. It sent them back, and then they throw the ball. You're just like, complete waste of 30 seconds for it. Absolutely galls me. But it
works.
It looks like we got sour grapes here tonight.
And that's always the worry. Like when we've had many a referee chat on this, and it's always seems to be on the end of a defeat. And look, some wins as well, but we don't really concentrate on. But we're just kind of, you're probably venting at the fact of, because we're so frustrated we can't score, we're not picking up any points. Well, let's pick at everything when we have it, because that's the platform forward. And it's just so frustrating.
There's a big moment. There's a big moment in the first. It's in the second half. We have a corner, and I'm nearly certain it was John Mountney, and the jersey's nearly pulled over his head. Yeah, you can see his sports bra underneath it, and you're just thinking, surely that's a penalty. Like, the ball rolls back out to us, and the ref just says play on. Like, what do you have to do? Like, he's standing watching these and then lets it play on. I'm sorry, but if there's a foul, it's a foul, it's a penalty, and that's how you stop all this pulling and battering each other at corners.
You're then inviting it. You're almost encouraging to say, like, well, this is okay.
But like, if a player's got a jersey up over his head, clearly something has gone wrong here. And there was a ton of stuff off the ball as well that the referee missed, and he got no help from his assistants tonight either. One or two were right in front of the linesmen, and they completely missed it as well. So it was very hard.
I suppose they have to be called in as well. I mean, like, half the pitch with no line on it or assistant referees is the referee's area, that, sideline wise, but the full pitches, but where half the front of a line or assistant referee, there's too much of that as well. There's too much of that.
But surely that should be their thing, watching corners.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, simple thing. Like, and then you're waiting almost for a decision from the ref. Is it this? Is it that? Like, make a decision. It's not just here. It's everywhere, but it is prevalent. Like the League of Ireland. Look, and don't get me wrong, there is some decent referees out there. Some I use that word. Some, but unfortunately, there's more that seem to be so, like you say, so inconsistent. If you're not giving a foul, don't give it for anything then. But you got to give it. You can't give it for one and not give it for the other, or book someone for something and not for the other. It's the inconsistency. If you're shite all the time and you miss everything, that's better. That's better than being shite for someone and then great for other teams.
Exactly.
We should have some of the footballers as well.
we should probably talk about the other big moment. So he takes off Robbie Mann, and I think it was a double sub at that stage as well, that O'Kane and McGill came in and definitely gave us something. Definitely gave us something. Of course, the other thing we never talked about was, Jada Kiki was unable to play for us due to the terms of his transfer. Like, we missed that bit of bite from him tonight, without a doubt. Yeah, like
it is frightening. And that just goes to show how highly Shelbourne actually rated him, that the fact that they didn't even want him coming up against him.
Yeah, but it was that sort of player, and probably the closest player we have to being able to do that was probably Scott McGill. When he came on, he showed something. But poor Ryan. He'll probably be looking back at it thinking it was the opportunity and the player you wanted to fall to, isn't it? Pai picks it up, puts a long header or a long cross in. It goes right the way across everybody.
Yeah.
And you're looking for it to fall to Ryan O'Kane, because we've seen him finish those ones off so many times before. And
it's not like he's hammered it across. He's kind of set himself. No. It's come at a bit of an awkward angle, but he knows where he wants it to go.
I think he pulls himself back and lets the melee go in front of him. He said, if this misses everybody, I'm at the back to pick this up.
Yeah. And it's
and then
no, yeah, it's just so, it's like you say, the right person to fall. It's so frustrating, like we just mentioned Kiki then as well. The likes of Kiki playing with Delvin as well. They haven't had a decent game. I know we're probably miles away from even considering a man of the match tonight, but that kind of balance is missing when you don't have that type of yin and yang in midfield. You've nothing really going forward, and so you've nothing really for anybody to feed off. Whereas that what you have with your Ryan O'Kane's when they do come on. But yeah, like you said, that chance, like I'd say in training every week, he's wrecking goalkeepers' heads with them ones, absolutely every week.
But it just shows you when your luck is out though as well, when that one comes back off, like the inside of the post, it doesn't land back on an easy chance, or another day that clips a keeper or defender and could even trickle across. We're just, if it wasn't for bad luck, we've no luck right now.
Yeah.
And that's the real kicker.
That's the story of the season. That, like, you don't want to be going down to bad luck. You don't want to be. It can't be all about luck, but you do need a rub at the green sometimes. And between the goalkeepers, the half chances we have that aren't going. Like even if you watch Kenny's chip, the keeper's decently out off his line. Like you say, a striker with 1 or 2 goals in his back pocket probably takes that comfortably enough, because the keeper's probably absolutely shit the pants coming out that far. He's still within his 18 yard, but he has come out and given loads of space. I'd say if Kenny had to if he lets it actually fall to the ground, it probably goes round him. The keeper's come off the line that much, but
could have,
like you say, not an informed striker, but a striker that's probably scored 1 or 2 along the way over the last maybe half a dozen games probably takes that a little bit easier. But that's just what we find ourselves at the minute. And yeah, we're really going to have an end of season synopsis on this season. Could be. Now look, we could condense it into the next 7 games to get the Arsenal deal, but it's going to be a challenge. It's definitely going to be a challenge. Like Ronan Coleman, I brought that up a second ago, Ronan. I had to make it go off just for a second, but we had mentioned this before. O'Donnell, Noel King, we obviously had Liam Bones and Brian Garland in that as well on the managerial ticket before Noel King kind of got the job. And yeah, like we mentioned at the top of the show, that with the signings that have come in and the players that have gone or were there and not playing now, not getting into the team, I don't know if we look on paper like we're a more structured team, but I just don't. We just haven't. They just can't seem to get a performance out of them. Now, look, there's one or two. Yes, we can go back to Pats and Inchicore, and there's one or two games we ran teams close, but close isn't good enough, unfortunately. And we just don't have that killer pass, that killer instinct. Even from anywhere really. And we've got experienced players. We really have. We've lost some. Yeah, look, but you've used players from injury.
Like on Ronan's point, like he's persistent on playing Jamie Cullen, but there is no other option. Is what I would say to that. We don't know what the situation is with Josh O'Connor, that we haven't seen him get onto the pitch really, so it's very hard to make any call. Is he better or worse than him? Pre-match, I did see Walker, Sam Durant, Keane, and somebody else. I think we're all being put through their paces. So Sam Durant obviously has some long-term injury that he's coming back from, and Paul Doyle, I was happening to talk to him. I felt like it was about 3 weeks ago now. Maybe it was only 2 weeks ago, and he told me then he was expected to be 4 weeks out. So that's at least another 2 weeks off, and has to get up to speed. But Paul Doyle is definitely the sort of player we were missing there tonight, and just to be not that easy to play against. You're probably thinking if you could bring in Paul Doyle a full tilt there, and Jada Kiki as well being available, it might have been a different game tonight. And it's funny, from the couple of the comments come in there, I think they're all probably saying Air Dervin is probably our man of the match tonight, just for his attitude. He was trying to get the crowd going. He put in a few tackles when he had to. He's a busy player, but I'd like to see somebody like a Paul Doyle there beside him, who's just a little more of a calming influence.
Absolutely.
We've seen early in the season, before he got injured, and when he's carrying the ball, he's as confident as Robbie Benson was in his pump. We've seen him nutmeg players into space and carry the ball a good 20 yards in games, and that's what we need. We need somebody who isn't scared to take on the opposition, and is brave enough and has the quality to be able to carry the ball with him, that we're not going to just lose it out, and he'd be all right. That's I think what I think we need right now. Unfortunately, with the players that are available, we don't have that, and that's probably part of the frustration you're seeing with Robbie Benson when he came in. And that's, look, like I say, every avenue I go down, I feel like it's just a hard luck story. But that hard luck story is probably going to get us.
That was going to be my next, but it's something we didn't really want to get into at the start of the season. The situation of Pat Hoban last year, but obviously Tin Tomatoes commented. A couple of people have seen over the last couple of weeks. Is it going to be one of those seasons where, I don't even know if Pat Hoban playing in this squad would feed off what's being produced. Yes, he would definitely score goals, but would he be as prolific with the way we play? I'm not so sure. But I understand that. A record goal scorer, obviously he'd be playing, but the way we're playing, maybe he'd read the game a bit different. Maybe he'd move different, obviously, for players. I don't know. But
maybe he could bring other players in as well.
Exactly, and that's going to be the topic. Now, whether Pat would have said it, I don't know, but that's going to be the number one highlight. Your goal scorer goes, a couple of players leave in the off season as well. You get Dickie Kelly as well, and we go down on this run of just tiredness. There is no other word. I think we go rock. We're not even fourth, fifth, sixth, slowly down. We've been rock bottom for months. And that's the real kicker. It's not like we've gone from, fourth and maybe slowly gone down and maybe up, and then we just sank to the bottom of the pit. And when we're giving it that we can't score goals, that unfortunately that's going to come back to bite people. And we no more want to be mentioned on the show. We want to get past it. It's gone. It's happened. But unfortunately, it is going to come back, and it is going to be the talk of many a pub tonight, or many a pub over the next couple of weeks. And it's just, when things go bad at Oriel Park, they go really bad. Do you know what I mean? We just seem to have that. We just seem to bring on real stress to players that should be enjoying football, should be out there, you know, earning their money, playing football, and then, but us as fans are now saying, right, well, what if you hadn't done that? You shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that, and that's what we're dealing with now. As much as we don't want to deal with it, that's the problem we find ourselves with at the minute.
I think probably though, for the past 2 seasons, catastrophe is not that far away around the corner, and we keep stumbling into it more often. In particular, this season, I think it's the problem. Frank was right what he said there in his previous comment. You know, we have 3 forwards on our books. One is Owen Kenny, who's only 20 years old, just finishes his leaving cert. The only goal he scored was in the pre-season. And then we've O'Connor and Gullen, and that's it. You know, Gullen scored 5 goals this year. He's our top goal scorer at the club. But then if you look at Drogheda, I suppose to that point, Frank, is that, well, they're owned by Walsall, and they just send their players over here. And hence why, you know, James Taylor is there. Like, he's, you know, you wouldn't be able to attract that sort of a player to Drogheda if he wasn't obviously being told to go out by his parent club. And they've done the same last year. You know, and they always have that option, I suppose. A bit like Waterford can always just pull in something. Can pull in something from their parent club as well, in Fleetwood, and Fleetwood seem to take advantage of that as well. I suppose it's a two-way street, you know, and you've got some players going the other way. And we don't have that luxury. And when it didn't happen with Hull, but when the talk of an English club coming and buying us over and being a feeder club was mentioned before, the fans had completed, you know, went into meltdown on that. And now we're saying, if we had that option, we could be getting a player from the UK, but we can't have it every which way, lads.
We had pretty much a whole podcast with Niall Newbury that night. I was like, I think 75% of the podcast was talking about why it could be a really good idea, provided there was no interference in selection. And we only had the podcast done, and I think within a couple of days it was Shelbourne, and and Shelbourne are now where they are, you know, and that's
and look, well, at the same time, then you know. The whole thing is gone, you know, like they after 1 year they pulled out, and whatever happened in that time, it happened with them. But you know, for Waterford and Drogheda right now, especially if Drogheda stay up, and you look at, you know, the new owners going and buying the home ground and their plans to move on, it does give an opportunity for a larger expansion that probably under our current guise of ownership, it's probably going to be a struggle to do. So it's a night of reflection looking back on a lot of things.
I just wanted to pick up, I know I picked out Roland's that's another good point from Roland. Is it something that we probably haven't really looked? I think Steph might have mentioned this one night, that the players we have signed, that physicality, obviously that low centre of gravity is there, but like, you got to use it as well. You don't want to have low centre of gravity when you don't make players run for it. But is that something that for League of Ireland you've got to be willing to be physical? You know, I straight away I think of a Galway team, you know, there has been a lot of physicality at Shelbourne as well, but you know,
straight away I would think of the 2 Zacks that we had, who were physically very, very strong, dominating players, which is probably what made them settle back in the league a lot quicker. And you know, that's part of their makeup and what made them good athletes. And you know, we see Zach Johnson getting his opportunity in the cup there only a few weeks ago. Could be something in that, and that's why they settled, and things went so well for them. But yeah, you know, throwing more players at this right now is not the solution. We need, you know, unless we're going to pull out some sort of a player who's going to fucking want to score 1 million goals for us before the end of the season, I'm not up for going back into the transfer market again. I think I think that's it. Look, we'll probably can go round and round in circles on this too.
You don't want to be too downtrodden. Like, I had to go to a World Cup next week, transplant team. I don't want to be thinking about Dundalk for 2 weeks with Wolferdale. I honestly, like, I'll say this thing without getting to it. Like, we sat here probably, I'd say probably 8 or 9 games ago, maybe, and there's no way you would have convinced me we're getting relegated. You know, we wouldn't. We definitely get out of this, and that, I think, you know, it was probably longer than that, because Stephen O'Donnell was probably still the manager at the time.
Yeah.
And there was no convincing. There was no, like, yes, it was spoken about. I think, you know, Steph got into it one night and a couple of comments, but we never really entertained the idea that we would be where we are in a couple of games. But yeah, look, it's I don't know if it's shocking or it's just a natural sadness every week that we come onto this podcast, or we watch a game, or we travel to Oriel. Look, and it's just another. We're at the stage now where, can we hang on to a game in 90 minutes? That's pretty much where we are at the minute, and it's so disappointing. But that's where we are, and just going to have to hang in there for the next couple of weeks and see. You know, that bit of luck that we're not getting, we now need it all to backfire on us.
Yeah, look, it's Jason's point there. You know, you've got 8 games to go now, and every one of these games has to be treated like a cup final. And he's right. The attitude, desire, work rate needs to improve dramatically. And he's right, because when we upped that tempo tonight, there wasn't really any sort of a reply from Shelbourne. And I think that's where clubs have got at them before. You look at Bowes getting the draw previously, like they just went at them and got the goal and pegged them back. And that's really what we you got to be on the front foot. And we were, in particular in the first half, on the front foot up in Derry, and we got a reward out of that match. And probably could have got more. I think Robbie Mann probably needs to take that opportunity he has, or go down on the 1-on-1, and it's a different match. But it's now you need to see. There's no time for any baggage or anything like this. There's no hanging on. This is, you know, if you were John Daly, you'd be sitting there and having a chat with these players. Like, we're in a fight between now and the end of the season. Taking away whatever Drogheda do, like ourselves, we have to find wins somewhere. And if people are doubting their attitude, doubting their ability, they need to have a look at themselves right now, because we've only got 8 games left to save our season here. And unless there's a buy-in of everybody that hits that pitch to go over and beyond what is required, we're going to be in trouble, because we're not at the Hail Mary moment just yet. We talked about this at the start of the year and halfway through the year, and we said, no matter what happens, we do not want to come down to that last game of the season, Drogheda. I'll bite your hand off for it right now.
Yeah,
like, that's changed. You know, to still have that opportunity in our own hands going into the last game of the season, I'd take it right now. But there was a time when we had a 5-point gap back. That's, you know, that's when we need to push on, and we need to have done something, and we haven't. We're now in this situation, and the more and more I'm looking at that game, I'm thinking, I'll take it right now. But it should never have been down to that.
No. I don't think even people as much and as disappointed they've been, I don't think anybody envisaged that we'd still be here coming into September and still where we are. Like, and it's been worse. That's the worst thing. You know, it's been worse than this. But this is.
It has been worse. Yeah, there's been games and everything that's been a lot worse than this game tonight. And I'm sure from John Daly and his staff's point of view, they're looking at the performance in the second half and how we did create the opportunities, and we had that big chance. Another night, maybe that does go in, and your bottom team playing the team that's now back top of the league again, and you know. We were in a whisker of a post of getting something out of that match, and that's something to be taken. But at the same time, when, you know, and he's probably not saying it in front of the players, but we have to take these opportunities, because we're, you know, you can't be riding the bad luck train forever. You've got to you got to stand up and do something. But we're going to miss.
We'll all be Novena, Jason.
Yeah, we could be out of luck on the timing on the Novena. I think
we'll do a podcast live from the Novena.
We just said we'll take comments for our man in the match pizza. I think Ronan's comments probably sparked the most debate between ourselves here tonight. So I'm to Ronan Coleman. So thanks, Ronan, for the interaction, and thanks everybody from the internet. It was a good bit there tonight, and it wasn't, and I'm also happy to see from the comments coming in tonight, there wasn't thrown players under the bus really or whatever. We had a discussion about, do you change the keeper? It was a discussion about work rate, attitude, and I think that says a lot as well.
It's all people are looking for. We're not looking
for we're not
looking for that bit of passion, that bit of kind of just performance on the field. You can't argue with results if you're playing well.
Exactly.
We're not in games, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Look, it's about more a desire and commitment. I would say right now they're the qualities that we need to improve on.
Yeah.
If we're being done by a long ball over the top in the first 2 minutes, do we have the cop on to turn around to everyone else and that can't happen again? Let's fucking have a chat or whatever and reassess ourselves and not give up that big opportunity to a team like Shelbourne for a second time. And Guy, just the other thing I suppose I want to just touch on as well before the match today, and obviously with just us being off, it's something we've never got to really touch on, and that's the passing of Jim McLaughlin. And someone who is for what he's done in particular, one as a player, but then as a manager in this league, it's nothing short of an absolutely amazing record. The fact that he was so consistent over so many teams as well, I think that really, bears, to go to a team like Dundalk and do the double, but then, to go to Shamrock Rovers then after and do a double there, and you're thinking, wow, that's amazing. And then do a triple, do a treble. You're just thinking that's, and people might talk about resources, whatever, but he's still managing those players, and you can't consistently win like that. Those sort of honors,
even like resources then and resources now are very different. Like late 70s, 80s. That's a different. You didn't have the pitches you have now, the strength and conditions, all that stuff. That was just different. That's just pure man management. You didn't need your badges. You didn't need there's no coaching school. You just knew it. You didn't. I like before my time. Look, obviously I remember early 90s as well. But I was kind of introduced to the Dundalk with Dermot Keely's time, which was just it's like Jim McLaughlin, he spat down out of his mouth. They were always getting that kind of connection. But I mean, you can't be a League of Ireland fan and not know. Obviously younger people will, but if you haven't heard the name Jim McLaughlin, everybody knows who Jim McLaughlin was. It's obviously connected in town as well through marriage and family. But it's not just the dog. Obviously we took him. We straight away I think of that image of him in his kit. That it's always same with Tommy Mack. That kit, that kind of iconic Dundalk kit. But then you forget what he done, like you say, what he done at Derry, Shelbourne, Shamrock Rovers. It's frightening on two different spells Dundalk, and look. We said it many times here, we've been blessed with the Ken year, we have Dermot Keely in the 90s, but I don't think you'll ever get that type of manager, that type of, obviously everything we know is just footage. I didn't live it, but all you do is listen to people talking about it. He's been mentioned many times in the show with Martin Lawler and, Alan O'Neill. We've had plenty of people on talking about him. And he's all, when people think of Dundalk, it's Jim McLaughlin, Torlock O'Connell, Dermot Keely, Stephen Kenny. That's kind of where we are at the minute. And an absolute, look, we'll throw legend around all the time and stuff, but there probably isn't a bigger League of Ireland legend, in the last 40 years as big as Jim McLaughlin. No. It's just, look, it's unbelievably sad. But what an absolute, like the mindset, the man management, an icon of League of Ireland. There's no probably beyond legendary, an absolute unbelievable. What he achieved, fantastic.
I remember, Stephen Kenny often talked about his European record at Dundalk, and Jim McLaughlin as well. Taking a little team like Dundalk to the last 16 of a European competition, and that everyone still talks about that game at Celtic, and holding them there, and so close to,
And when you
actually
think about
making
it now,
something
you
and
know,
beating
yeah,
Celtic in Oriel Park and putting them out of the competition, you would have been in the last stage of the European. Like it's nuts now. And you know, Stephen Kenny took a lot of inspiration from his 2016 team going into that as well. Like, and it's you know, I do think he broke a lot of borders. He
oh yeah, absolutely.
obviously records and Jim McLaughlin go hand in hand, you know, but it a great tribute there tonight. So, you know, Shelbourne had a wreath, Dundalk had a wreath, and I think the FEI even had one there tonight as well, and it was a minute's applause. It was well represented by all fans in the ground tonight, and it was just good for the club to get the opportunity to mark that.
Yeah.
Mark that occasion. Like I say, he continued to live locally right up to the very end then as well. So it's very sad on the McLaughlin family, you know, but it was good to see a good tribute from the club tonight then as well, and everyone connected with it as well. I think we're nearly there, Gally, are we? You have bags to be packed, or what are you doing?
Well, I've my final transplant team meeting tomorrow in Clonmel. So I've had a Clonmel in the morning, and then we're away on. I'm kind of mentally packing my bags. I'm not great for packing bags, so my wife's listening to me sitting with me. I wouldn't be great, but I'd be team kit ready to go. That's the main thing. But yeah, look, it's been a long couple of weeks, but we're nearly getting there. It'll be streamed as well, so you might have to do a podcast on all the matches.
There you go. We'll do a full-time reaction. We'll do a full-time reaction to your games on that as well. And I did see a post up today from this as well. So Frank just mentioned, just say the 1903 are holding a fundraiser on the 12th of October in the Lisdoo. It's a music bingo night event. So you can buy tickets early if you are a 1903 member. And there is a link on their socials if you want to jump on that. But the tickets will also be open on general sale on Monday. So if you want to go in early, just get your tickets and book them. And now you can do.
Frank, you might give us a few with the raffle off on the show, will you? Go on, give us a set of tickets there.
There'll be plenty of prizes and that on the night then as well. So that is us. We are back on Thursday night. I presume you're not. You're on international duty.
I'll have to check. I'm flying out Friday morning, so you never know. I might pop on and be kit like an Egypt.
If Nicholas packed away your socks and underwear, you might be allowed on. So we'll see. Look, it's been another disappointed night for us, I suppose, in Oriel Park, and a night where we really wanted to pick up something. A chance we played ahead of Drogheda. It was a chance to get back level on points with them at least. And that's an opportunity missed. So it'll probably be all eyes for ourselves on Sunday as Drogheda are playing Pats. So we're hoping that Stephen Kenny can do some sort of a favour back for us there. But the sad thing is we need to have this in our own hands, and we'll be looking to try to put that right on that corrected fixture against Pats, which was scheduled now for Thursday the 7th. I think it is, something like that. 5th, maybe. I just threw a 7 8 just come into my head. Probably completely wrong.
I only know that.
Either way, it's Thursday.
On the 6th.
There you go, because otherwise you were booked on the wrong flight. So that's it. We leave it at that. Another disappointing night, but until next time, come on the town.